Well, to get a idea of what exactly has happened there on the ground, 17 days, as I mentioned, 41 workers, they're stuck inside that Silkyara tunnel. What's been the situation there on the ground? How difficult was it? We all watched it on the TV sets. We all read about reports on how the arrangements have been made on the ground. Let's get an expert there, a geoscientist, Professor C.S. Dubey, joining us live at this point of time to try and understand the challenges, the hurdles that this particular rescue operation faced. Good afternoon. Welcome to this special broadcast, Professor C.S. Dubey.
Good afternoon.
Put this into perspective. How difficult, how cumbersome, a geological challenge, a technological challenge that we faced. How difficult was this? 17 days of hard work that we have seen. How difficult was this for people sitting and watching it on the TV screens to, get a sense of, the big challenge before this rescue operation?
It is actually, because we are at the fag end and we are going to rescue all, it's really a relief kind of a thing to everybody in India and in fact globe. The most important thing is that the trauma they had suffered due to a small or minor problems which became major problems due to the structural geology of the area, because this is the most fragile area. We have been telling so on and so forth again and again that this area, you have to go for a very, very minute scale mapping in this. And you have to be very cautious because these are all fragile. Himalayas are very young. They're all fragile rocks. Anytime, any activity. In Uttarkashi, Chamoli area, already there was an earthquake of 6 and above. The erosion rates in that area are very high. When I say erosion rates, that means landsliding is very probable in that area. And probability of landslides and old landslides rejuvenating. This is how it happens, The old landslides are reactivated by these kind of activities due to the vibration or due to the, tunneling, blasting or whatever, you are using the methods, human-induced methods. So that's all a big thing. And now, it was very, very risky affair. So that to go inside and clean it somehow, and whether it was rat mining or it was a vertical drilling or horizontal drilling, how you can bring out people, that was the most important thing. Once they come out, the fractures can be grouted, the things can be made again easier. And we with this lesson, we all will learn that how to go ahead and not look at the importance of all scientists, whether they are geoscience people, whether they are engineers, or whether they are, those ever who are the consultants over there. I think it is a right time.
Okay, looking at this 4.5 kilometer or a 2.8, mile long tunnel where these workers were trapped close to 17 days, how difficult is for them, now that you're trapped inside a tunnel and now that you have, rescue has taken place, a breakthrough has taken place, how difficult is for them to adjust, back to...
Fortunately, it was a 2-kilometer long tunnel already excavated and they were living in that.
Okay.
So oxygen was a less problem over there. But there was, somebody told me that there was natural drainage in that. And if you have a natural drainage in that it's a good sign because you get drinking water. But the other thing is that if that becomes into a seepage kind of a thing, it gives you another kind of problem. We were doubting when it was going to be vertical drilling. We were always skeptical of that. You'll have some seepage may affect the system of the this drilling. And similarly, the soft rocks, they make very fast muddy things, and they debris falls very easily. So these precautions and risks were there, and with the risk involved, these kind of people have the laborers over there must have been feeling very, they must be in a very big problem, because they must be thinking that what will happen to them if it is not going to open, or if another mishap happens, because it was too risky. I will say that living in a place where you have very less oxygen, you have less water, and the food and etc. came quite late at the time. So living in these conditions are very difficult for a human.
Okay, Professor Dubey, has this tunnel collapse, it's triggered faith for sure, but has it raised security and environmental concerns once again?
Look, whenever you are making tunnels in the Himalaya, there are both pros and cons of that. Pros is that you save a lot of trees when you make tunnels inside. Cons is that you reactivate old landslide, you reactivate the fractures and fault systems in the area, and whatever happens due to that, all what you are trying to save goes away. So these are two, pros and cons of the system. But yes, when you develop anything, there will be an change in the ecosystem. But yes, if you do it carefully and you do it systematically, it's a habit of the climate that it comes back to the normal. So that has to be done. And for that, you have to bring out the look at the conditions of the rock types, whether they are still fragile, what is the status, because you had the hard rocks as well as soft rocks over there. And with the soft rocks, they are more fragile. Hard rocks, they are very hard, like a boulder. If it falls from the old landslide and goes down in a tunnel, it blocks everything. And then cutting that, and then your machinery is very important, because you used an auger machine, which was cutting the system all right, but it was not able to cut the iron or the hard rocks over there. And then it was broken, and then you had to change that.
Okay.
These are the things you have to be more careful about, your studies, pre-feasibility of the tunnels and the studies of the tunnels. I say one thing, that we make tunnels to secure people and to have a safer way, but rather it turns out to be wild, because we don't care about that. What are the scientific ways to prepare it, make it, and where we miss the gaps, which are there.
Uh, Professor Dubey, especially when it comes to the Himalayan region and Uttarakhand in particular, which is made up of soft rock, as you mentioned, will this now open, more scrutiny, more caution that needs to be, put in place, especially when it comes to, taking up, first of all, this project and also looking at other projects in and around the Char Dham Yatra?
Look, whether it's a national construction of a road or whether it's a construction of the tunnel.
Okay.
Both the things, the rocks, the dip direction of the rocks, the strike of the rocks, the faults in the rocks, the joints in the rocks, the rock mass rating of the rock, the slope mass rating of the rock, all these things have to be assessed very carefully. And I've been telling you at a very smaller scale, so that each and every point, what could be the problems which can come up. Because sometimes, as we could see that the shear zones are covered by the debris, and we don't understand what is down. So you have to use there are many scientific methods which have come up now, and with that you can change the things. It's not construction and it's a time of the development for India, whether it is Himalayas or the country itself. But you have to be very careful. Scientists and the engineers should work together, especially the geoscientists and engineers. Rather than making shorter routes, you should be more careful about the rocks and more careful about the structures in the area, the slope of the area, the fragility of the area, the ecosystem of the area, and especially areas where you have high rainfalls. For example, Kedarnath, or you can say in Sikkim, the Gangtok area. All these areas are vulnerable to even the cloudbursts and the heavy rainwater. So all these things create a double problem or triple problem when you make these kind of tunnels.
Okay. Also a quick word, now that we look in hindsight, what could have prevented this particular Uttarkashi tunnel collapse? Or what are the lessons that we learn? Well, live visuals there coming from Uttarkashi at this point of time. As we mentioned, beds, chairs all ready, ambulances ready. They're all being kept ready inside that Silkiara tunnel. The 41 trapped workers trapped for the last 16 days expected to come out anytime soon. So things, medical staff there in large numbers, ambulances waiting for things to happen. Well, quickly